Hello. Tonight we're in Judges chapters 16, 17, and 18. And this is a combination of kind of interesting passages. Chapter 16 is Samson and Delilah. And so Samson has decided that he's in love with Delilah. And Delilah is a Philistine, and she wants to know, because the people are asking her, how do we take away Samson's strength? And she keeps asking him, and he keeps telling her stuff. And every time he tells her something, they come in and they try what he tells her, and it doesn't work. And so she says, well, you lied to me. To which I go, duh. But anyway, apparently Samson keeps teasing her, and she keeps trying, and finally he gives in. It makes absolutely no sense. But yet what it's showing is that Samson is embodying all the problems that the Israelites were having. They're not staying dedicated to God. They're not keeping themselves pure from the people around them, and they're suffering the consequences of that. We know that Samson, once he gives her the truth about what's going on, he cut his hair, he's weak, they gouge out his eyes, they put him in prison, they abuse him, they use him for sport, but his hair grows back. So then they decide they're having a big feast. They're at one of their temples, and they bring him up to show him off. And he prays to the Lord one more time, and he says, please just let me one more time have the strength that you gave me. And he asked the guy that's leading him, because he's blind, to put him between the two main pillars of the temple. Obviously the guy doesn't think there's anything odd about that request, so he does. Samson pushes on it, and he collapses the entire thing, and thousands of people are killed. And it says that more people died in Samson's death than died at Samson's hand during his lifetime. Very odd. That's the last judge that we see in the book of Judges. Then we go into chapter 17, and chapter 17 is about this guy Micah. And we don't really know anything about Micah, but he's stolen some money from his mom. His mom curses the person that stole it. He says, I did it. She blesses him for being honest and giving the money back. And then they do a strange thing. It is a very odd chapter, but read through it and look at what's going on. They've taken the money, and they're still serving Jehovah, but yet they're making idols. And they're making two kinds of idols. They're making a molten idol. That's the same thing as the golden calf in the wilderness. And they're also making an idol that they carve at hand. And different people think about whether it's two different idols or whether or not it's the base and then the molten calf sits on top of it. It doesn't really matter. They've also made an ephod. That's what the priests wore. And this guy Micah decides he's going to create his own religious environment, his own little church over here. So he has his idols, and he's appointed one of his sons to be a priest. And then this Levite comes by, and they go, well, a Levite's really a priest. And so he asked him to be his Levite. And the guy says, okay, it's a paid job. He likes it. So he takes that job, and he comes and he becomes that guy's priest. Then we get to chapter 18, and we find that the people of Dan haven't fully taken their territory. Now you know from earlier readings in Joshua and Joshua, that Dan got their allotment, but all the cities hadn't been taken, and they still needed some places for some of their folks. So they send out a group to scout the land. They find this particular area that's not very well protected, that is very rich. It'd be a perfect place. So they get all together. They're going to go fight them. At the same time, they find Micah, and they find this Levite. On the way, they go back, they stop, they inquire of the Lord, and the Lord says that they're going to be successful. So they go and they steal the idols and the priest from Micah. And then so they go off, and there's a little exchange between Micah and these guys, but he turns around and comes back. He knows that there's more of them. They're going to die. And that then ends chapter 18. It is a very strange combination of chapters. I think the thing that they're trying to point out is just an aside to say Israel is turned against God. You've had all these description of the judges. They're getting progressively worse, progressively worse, progressively worse, until you end up with Samson, and Samson's kind of the worst of the lot when it comes to not really doing what the Lord wanted him to do. And then we get to this description of the worship practices, and you see that they are starting to blend what the nations around them do with their worship of Yahweh. And we're going to see that throughout the rest of Israel's history, how they go back to Jehovah, they turn away from Jehovah, they don't completely turn away from Jehovah, they blend it with the towns around them. That's just kind of the pattern that's being set up. So enjoy the reading, pay close attention. It's kind of hard to follow. And then we'll see how the last 3 chapters end here tomorrow. Hope you're having a good night. God bless you.